Order. Our first item is the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The mission of the Marshall Public School District is to educate, support, and prepare all learners for success. Our next item is approval of the agenda.
So move.
Second.
There was one change just to mention after it was published publicly that we took out discussion of policy 808. So just to note that.
Yep.
So there's been a motion by Bill and a seconded by Jeff to approve the agenda. Any further discussion or changes? I'll call for the vote. And the agenda is approved. Next item is a student recognition. This is my favorite part of any board meeting that we do all year. So we do this once a month.
Most exciting part of our school board meeting.
Yes, it is. So some of you are here and some of them aren't. So I'm going to read the bios that were presented to us. And if you're here, I'd ask you to stand as I read about you. From Parkside, nominated by Mrs. Brigger, Patrick Helgerson. Patrick is a sponge. He loves taking in all and any information he has learned during the day and then shows his knowledge in his writing. He works very hard to have a 5-star sentence that starts with a capital letter, has spaces, ends with punctuation, is neatly written, and mostly important, makes sense. He also strives to build his writing muscles by adding in details to his writing through additional sentences. What sets Patrick apart is he also encourages others in their writing. He will say, "You can do it," or "Mistakes help you learn," when others are struggling. He is an all-around amazing first grade writer. Congratulations, Patrick. From Southview, nominated by Mrs. McKinnon, Caden Van Brockhorst. Caden is such a wonderful student. He is always showing tiger pride, and he is kind to everyone. In our classroom, we have a student that is new to the district, and Caden has been so welcoming and helpful with this student. I strongly believe that the new student has adapted so well because of Caden taking him under his wing. Caden is also willing to participate in class, and he has such a well thought out answers. He is a great role model for his peers, and I am so happy he is in my classroom this year. Congratulations, Caden. In the middle school, nominated by all the 8th grade teachers, Glover 2. The 8th grade team is proud to recognize and commend Glover 2. He is a remarkable 8th grade student at the Marshall Middle School for his exceptional kindness, work ethic, and contributions to each class. He demonstrates a passion for learning that is reflected in his performance across all subjects. Glover stands out among his peers for his positive attitude and character. He exemplifies qualities such as integrity, kindness, and respect towards his peers and teachers. As a role model within the classroom and beyond, he is always willing to lend a helping hand to others, whether it's working on a group project or helping a classmate who may be struggling. Glover is always in a good mood, and that is contagious. In addition to his academic and personal achievements, Glover is involved in soccer. His ability to balance school and soccer commitments speaks to his excellent time management and organizational skills. We are so proud to nominate Glover for the 8th grade Tiger Student Spotlight. Congratulations, Glover. At the high school, nominated by Mr. Jones, Ryan Botsford, Carter Gerke, and Jack Gunn. You guys got to stand. These students, along with 16,000 other students around the United States, are competing in the 70th annual National Merit Scholarship Program. These academically talented high school seniors have an opportunity to continue in the competition for some 6,870 National Merit Scholarships, worth nearly $26 million, that will be offered next spring. To be considered for a National Merit Scholarship Award, semifinalists must fulfill several requirements to advance to the finalist level of the competition. About 95% of the semifinalists are expected to attain finalist standing, and approximately half of the finalists will win a National Merit Scholarship, earning the Merit Scholar title. Congratulations, guys. At the ALC, nominated by Mrs. Richardson, Carolina Raymond Ramos. Carolina is kind and respectful to students and works extremely hard to keep her grades in class. Even when she is absent, she goes above and beyond to do her work. She models being a responsible and upstanding student every day. She's an attentive student who participates enthusiastically during class discussions. Her work demonstrates thoughtfulness and consideration to whatever the topic of the assignment. Congratulations, Carolina. And I got certificates for all of you that are here, and we're going to take a picture of you back there by the banner.
So parents, if you want to get a copy of this picture, you're welcome to go do that at this time as well.
When were you going to come with all these high school dudes?
They'll be a good influence, I promise.
Congratulations.
And parents and students, you are welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting if you like, but it wouldn't be rude if you left either, so. Most students don't like to stay for the whole day.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Congratulations, guys.
Our next item is a public forum. Is there anybody from the public like to approach the board? Seeing none? We'll move on to our presentation by the Marshall Area Learning Center. Welcome, Dan.
Hi, how are you?
Hey, Dan. How's it going? Good, how are you? Good.
Yeah.
She's gonna leave you standing. She's gonna leave you standing. She's socializing in the back.
I know. That's all right.
She said, let's see what we can do with the new guy.
All right. Okay, for my presentation here, I'm just going to cover our board report essentially. So for the ALC, the new facility is awesome. I brought Mrs. Basemeyer here to give you a teacher's perspective later on here. But working with SMSU, it's been great. I haven't had any major issues with them. Even with the Southwest Service Co-op, they've been a good help and good partners in this as well. It's just things have been going really smoothly for us in terms of working with all the entities that are there. Because there's 3 of us really in that place, technically 4, ABE. And so it's been a challenge to try to coordinate everything, but everybody's been a great help. Open house, most of you were there. It went really well. About 100 people roughly showed up for the open house. We also had conferences that night. We only had about 20% of the parents that were there. I don't know if that's good or bad because it's my first year at the ALC, but we'll see what next conferences will bring. Current enrollment up there, 47 totals at the ALC. 34 of them are in person. And then we do have 13 online, but that was as of last week. We are just signed up 2 more online today. So that is going to keep growing as the semester keeps going on. And I'd expect there's going to be a few more come quarter time, that we're going to have a few more come in from the high school, or even at semester break, we might even have a few more come in.
How many of those are not from our district? Yeah,
I believe all the online ones are from our district.
they're not from our district?
No, they are from our
Yeah.
district. Either they have open enrolled into the high school, for example, and were there for like a quarter or so, and then have moved to the ALC, but have gone online. Some of them are because of certain disabilities that they have, like anxiety to depression to that are clinically proven. They're seeing Greater Minnesota or something like that. And so going online seems to be their best option instead of actually in person. But I believe all of them are or have been at the high school for some time. Now, some of them were already enrolled online before I actually took the job, so I can't verify the ones that have been online previously, but I'm quite sure they're all here online or from Marshall. Some of the projects that we're still working on, the intercom and bell system, we didn't have a chance to get that in place. It wasn't part of the original process. It's just something that would be nice to have, or actually, I think we need to have, because like if there's an Alice situation, the easiest way to notify people is to do an all call. And so we're working on that. I know we're getting bids and things like that. It's not a showstopper at all. We can still conduct business. And it's just something on our radar to continue with, just like the other ones that you see up there. Every week I contact BCI, Sean, to make sure that those items for the door hardware, we have 3 doors that need hardware, and they're on back order, and they're still on back order, just like a typical construction. HVAC balancing, Tony, I talked to Tony last week. Again, it's between the BCI and the Southwest Service Co-op and Southwest. It depends on who's doing what right now, but it's on their radar to finish the balancing in the building. Because right now, if you do go upstairs, it feels like a wind tunnel coming through where Nikki sits. And it's just because there's higher pressure on one side of the building and low pressure on where she sits, and everything funnels through her. So it's on their radar. It's just, according to Tony, it's when finally everything gets signed over and completed. That's when they're able to get Johnson Controls, I think it is, to come in and do the balancing. And so when that's going to happen, hopefully soon and not in the middle of winter, but we'll see. The CTI program approvals are wrapping up. I know one has been submitted. I don't know where the rest are at yet. But classes are going strong down there. We did have some construction trades talk. Jeremy and I even sat down with Beth and Brian. We're just brainstorming right now. Nothing has been committed to or anything like that. It's just just trying to get ideas down on paper and where we can go from here. Semester enrollment, that is the semester enrollment currently, 13 in the CNA, and there's 33 total in the welding and autos classes.
Is that full? Is
that full?
those classes?
No, actually not. The CNA we could actually put more in CNA.
Okay.
To be honest with you, we could actually combine a couple of those sections, being honest with you. And in the future, we might want to do that and open up another class. So like medical terminology, for example. Once she gets fully licensed and she gets her CTE endorsement, we could also put her on a program approval situation and start getting funds from Carl Perkins and so on for her program as well. But she has to offer another class to do that, to create a program. You got to have 2 courses. And the easiest one would be medical terminology. And so if we can combine some of those sections, that'll make her classes larger, and then hopefully more kids will start taking terminology in person instead of going online and taking it through Minnesota West.
Okay.
The welding classes and auto classes, they're pretty close to being full. I mean, he's only got 3 sections, and that's 33 people. You know, some of them are duplicate people too.
Sure.
You know, taking more than one section out there, but they're pretty close to being at his cap of 15.
Those classes are kept intentionally small with the nature of the course. So.
Yep. And then I'll turn it over to Mrs. Basemeyer.
Hi, I'm Donna Bastemeyer, and I teach language arts at the ALC. I was at Maytech for 3 years before we made the move. And the actual process of moving, from my perspective, it went quite smoothly, and I think that's a testament to all of the work that Amanda Peterson did as preparation last year and the communication she had, and also how well she and Dan communicated once he joined us. And it just kind of went, as seamlessly as I think it could have. And then, getting things set up is also have to thank Nikki and our custodian, George, who is amazing, for all of the work that they did to help us out as well. Getting into the new facility, oh, that's my room. So getting into the new facility, it has been kind of amazing. I think I had forgotten after 3 years how different it can be to have, actual walls and doors in the classroom. Prior to this, there was the shared space, and I shared with a couple other teachers. And, we made do, but when you think of things like my film and literature class, which obviously because of the content, we have to show videos. And so the space I was in before, all of the lights were shared between the 3 classrooms. And so if someone had to turn off the lights for a video, then that kind of was a struggle for others who were teaching at the same time. So, those small things like being able to have control over that and not have to necessarily think about what's going on in other classrooms at the same time has definitely been a benefit to the space. I think also just having an environment that is meant to be a school and classrooms has helped us all it's helped the students adjust. I think they have a little bit different of a mindset, most of them, just walking into an actual classroom. And it feels like, you're in school, whereas before it was just a little bit different. Along with that, I really appreciate the new line boards and getting to use those. And we don't have a bell system, but we're getting to set alarms on our boards, and that's how we keep track of the class starts and end times. Sorry, I should have written it down. But yeah, it's been a great transition, and like Dan mentioned, there's a little bit of adjustment working through which entity do I contact about a specific problem, but everyone that I have encountered has been very responsive, and it's a great environment, and I think we all appreciate being there, having actual classrooms, and I think it's been a long time coming for the
Have you noticed a difference in student attitude?
There have been some differences this year, and part of that is some of the students that we have from last year, but we did graduate 20 last year, which is amazing. But so, we have a whole new crop of students, and I think that's helped as well because those students didn't necessarily experience what it was like at the other building. So it's been easier for them to transition than the students that are with us from last year. But yeah, I think some of them you can tell are a little more attentive. A little less likely to, kind of wander away. And I can close my door so there's not as many distractions with others walking by and things like that. And that's definitely helped the students be more attentive.
I think after many years, we finally found our permanent spot for
Yeah.
for the ALC program. So
It's great. We really
be
appreciate
there a
all the
long
work that
time.
you've done.
So.
Any other questions?
Thank you guys for
Thanks,
coming.
Thank you very much.
All of your work.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Next item is a consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Sarah Brink and seconded by Bill to approve the consent agenda. I will call for the vote. That is approved. Next item is approval of the bills for September. I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Motion by myself and seconded by Jeff to approve the bills for September of this year. Any further discussion or questions?
Just share that Sarah Kirchner was not able to be here this evening, but I know she has shared these with Sarah Brink, and they've had a chance to look through them, and any questions they had have been addressed.
All right, I'll call for the vote. It is approved. Next item is the treasurer's report. Any further information on this?
I know that Sarah calls a couple things out in her board report that we'll talk about later as far as with the health insurance. That was an area that we're looking at, but she did not share any additional notes with me.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to the board forum. Any updates from the board? Anyone? Hearing none, we'll move on to the administrative reports. Jeremy.
All right. It's been a busy month, a lot of things going on this month. As they mentioned in their presentation, we did celebrate the ALC location with a ribbon cutting and open house last week. That was a lot of fun. I appreciate everyone coming to that. And we had a really good turnout from the community, along with the service cooperative and the ABE, just celebrating that whole building and the changes that happened there. So like they mentioned, again, a big upgrade in facilities and just very well received by staff and students. So a big thank you to the board member for your support in that project, making that happen. I also want to call out, it is Principals Month this October, and we're excited to celebrate all of our principals. So I want to say a big thank you, grateful for all the work for our principals, for Brian, Hayden, Dan, Mary Kay, Peggy, Bennett, Peter, Amanda, Darcy, and Tiffany. Appreciate the work they do in making every building such a great place in Marshall. Going through the buildings then, Parkside is the first one. Darcy shares in her report that last year, while they continued to work with literacy and made a few less changes last year than had been in the past, really started to solidify some instructional practices related to literacy based on the science of reading. We saw significant growth in students' reading skills as a result of that work, and the scores this fall are showing that as well. This year, we are working primarily in developing the teacher's knowledge and reading pedagogy to align with the science of reading and the new Minnesota Read Act. So that's a lot of the work taking place there. She also shares that at conferences this quarter, she and Miss Emily Carroll, who is instructional coach at site, will be providing 3 30-minute sessions each evening of conference night, just to share more about reading instruction with parents that want to know more about what's happening, what the reading block looks like. So I think that'll be a good opportunity for parents to learn more about what Read Act means in the classrooms. At Southview, Pete shares that the bar coach that comes in as part of our implementation of bar recently completed their first of 3 site visits this past week. When she was here, she was able to attend a few small block meetings, observe some U times, and the Community Connect meeting. So the small block and Community Connect, those are meetings where they talk about the needs of students and how to address them, what they're going to do, and kind of walk that process. So the coach comes and goes through it with them and helps them refine the process, gives them feedback on how things are going. So it was good to get that feedback from them. And the U time activities are some SEL activities that happen in the classrooms as part of the bar program. Pete also shares that on every second Friday of the month, they are working with the Student Athlete Advisory Committee at SMSU and set up a team to come to greet students as they come to school. So first week of school, we had the women's soccer team at Southview, and last week the Mustang football team was there. So that is a lot of fun for the elementary kids. She's got a picture in the report here, Trisha's got on the board, but to stand there and watch the kids come in the mornings with a tunnel of college football players or soccer players or whatever team it might be that's there. It's just, that's a fun morning. So appreciate them working with us and doing that. Southview, also exciting news. Theo John was welcomed to the Peterson family recently. So Amanda Peterson had her baby. He is healthy. She is healthy. Everyone's doing well. So Stephen Fredrickson is filling in. He's subbing for Amanda. We haven't had a sub for principal in as long as I can remember, but we were very grateful to find Stephen and have him be willing to come in and help out, because that's certainly time that we want Amanda to be able to enjoy her new one at home and have coverage at the school as well. So that's working well, and thank you to Stephen. At the middle school, 5th grade got to attend an environmental fair that was on September 24th. They returned to school pretty excited to share all that they learned. They walked out to the fairgrounds for that. Homecoming was also another highlight this last month at the middle school. They had various dress-up days and activities, just a lot of fun for the kids. And middle school, their first dance is coming up on October 24th, so this week. Board members, I believe they are looking for chaperones if anyone's interested.
No, thank you.
Put you down, Matt. As fall activities are wrapping up, winter activities are getting queued up to start. They're excited about Knowledgeable and Conservation Crew, a couple things that happen at the middle school that kids can be a part of outside of athletics. So those will be starting soon too. At the high school, Brian shares in his report this month that they recently implemented Securely Pass. It's an electronic hall pass system that replaces traditional handwritten passes. Staff were trained on that in September during building-wide PLC meeting at the end of the month, and then students were trained in early October. Students are allowed 5 student passes per week, and they're learning how to manage their breaks and make use of that. So overall, it really aims to streamline that hall time process and improve management of student activities. I'd say staff are receiving it very well. Students aren't exactly excited about it, but it's going well overall. We have a better idea of who's going where and what's going on during the day at the high school. So that's been good. Brian did give me a login and password so I can log in and watch a little bit from my office too and to see what's going on. It's really interesting to see how that's going and the number of kids coming and going, but a lot of things they can do to try and curb behaviors too. If they have a couple students they know can't be in the hallway at the same time, they can set the system to not allow those 2 students to receive a pass at the same time until one is checked back into class or that sort of thing. So, or if there's a number of kids checked out to one locker bank, it won't check anyone else that area until that bank is cleared out. And so some nice parameters they can put around that to really try and curb behaviors. And my understanding is they're seeing fewer behaviors in bathrooms because they have a better grasp of everyone knows what's going on around the building. So yeah, that's been a good system to get implemented at the high school. I know middle school is eagerly watching how that goes. So might not just be one building in the long run. Also, Brian shares in his report that on last Tuesday, on the 15th, Secretary Simon visited the high school and spoke to students in the afternoon at AP classes, AP government specifically, and current issues. So Mr. Simon spoke about the importance of voting, the impact that young voters can have, and responsibility of voting in a democratic society. Mr. Simon also spent time talking to students about the security involved in voting process, how to register, and answered a variety of questions. So it was a nice visit to have Secretary of State there to talk to the kids, and they can hear firsthand. There's also going to be some student voting taking place, and he got to talk to them about that process and what that looks like and what that feels like. And to get that right from the Secretary of State was pretty exciting for our kids. So that was a good opportunity. ALC, he really walked through a lot of his things in his report. He talked about the open house, and in the CTE program, he talked about certification for the CTE classes. That's a piece that has to happen every number of years to make sure our programs are approved through the state and we get some reimbursement for that. So that's something that PLC group has been working on, and those classes are going really well as well in that program. He also mentioned we're looking at construction trades as the next program that we're adding, so we're starting to put some of those details together and hoping to add that for next year. In special ed, Jackie shares this month about the Deaf Hard of Hearing program. Each month she highlights a different area within special ed. This is a pretty cool opportunity. She talks about each year, the teachers of deaf, hard, and hearing in the region try to host an event that they call Building Identity. It includes students from across the region who have hearing loss. This last April was held in Redwood Falls, and Marshall Public Schools had 10 students attend. They were from kindergarten through 8th grade, but across the southwest portion of the state, there were over 100 students at this event. The purpose is really connecting students with hearing loss with other students who have hearing loss in similar age, because they don't always have a lot of students within their district to talk to that have the similar experience as them. This gives them opportunity to socialize, learn about hearing loss, assistive technology available, and just to play games and activities with other students. So that was a very well-received event, and she's got some pictures and such in her program and her report as well. Mary Kay's report, one of the highlights in hers is the Project Success Program that starts tomorrow. That is for grades K through 8. Hoping to add a few more students with the staffing that we have in place, and if we can get some additional staffing, we could of course expand as well. But it's driven by the number of staff we have and how many students we can take in each program too. So that program is ready to start tomorrow. A lot of things and activities. I mentioned earlier that fall activities are wrapping up. Some pretty exciting things this fall. Boys soccer, for example, first time in school history, our boys soccer team competed in the section championship. They also secured their first ever Big South Conference title. So very exciting time for that team. They had a great season. Girls soccer wrapped the season with a 6-8-2 record, finishing quarterfinals after a hard-fought loss to St. Peter. They had a large senior class last year, but they really rebuilt and had a great season again this year. Volleyball continues to have a strong season. Things are going well there. Marching band ended season on a high note, participating in the Youth and Music Festival in Minneapolis that happened just recently at the US Bank Stadium, which is a fun event for kids to get to be on that field. Tigers placed third in the state and 11th overall out of 34 bands. So that was a nice weekend, nice event, nice way to wrap up the season for them. I know they're tonight they're having their banquet and their indoor concert for families there. And Anne Marie chose to come to the board meeting and is missing it. So
Not all of it. Just
not all
that.
of it. She'll catch the concert. But I'll hurry up so you get to the rest of it. Tennis concluded their season with an individual section tournament on October 11th and 12th, finished with an 8-11 record, so they had a good year. Football still going strong. We are hosting this Saturday. Thanks to favorable weather and strong team performance, one of the highlights that Mitch shared was that their attendance was up by over 10% this season. So that's fun. The football games just makes it that much more fun when there's that many people there. Swimming placed 7th at the True Team event recently in Wilmer. Just a few meets left and they're gearing up for section play. And the last thing he shared was on girls golf. Nancy Blanchard, she's been with us for a number of years as a girls golf coach. She has retired, so we are searching for a new golf coach and hoping to fill that by mid-November. So we're ready for the spring for that. In Beth's report this month, she shares about English language arts. This is year 3 of the curriculum cycle for them. Typically in year 3, we would have been implementing new curriculum by now, but with the requirements in the READ Act, we have chosen not to purchase materials. At the end of last year, we're taking a little more time, making sure we have all the guidance we need from MDE, doing some more of this training with teachers, and making sure we're making the right decisions with the curriculum we purchase. It's a big decision, and we want to make sure that we're choosing the right thing for that. So they're just kind of holding steady with the curriculum they have, continue to review resources. We are doing a couple pilots with different things. We're hoping to make purchases by the end of this school year that will be implemented, and they will have 5 years in this to keep them in the cycle. So this would be supposed to be year 1 of the 6-year cycle. Everything's changing in the READ Act a little bit off for us. Physical health and social studies. Our physical education, health, and social studies, get that right, are in year 2 of the cycle, means they are evaluating potential resources and finalizing their things that will be purchased for next year. And in her video, in her report as well, this time she has a video about Welcoming Week. So if you haven't clicked on that, board members, I encourage you to just click on that, watch that. Our community can find it on the report as well. It shows some highlights from that event. It was a well-attended event. There's a few snapshots there too. And we had a great evening, a lot of people, and it was fun. So check that video out if you haven't seen it. She also includes, as somebody had asked at a recent board meeting about acronyms, she included a list of commonly used acronyms that we do this. This is something we do with new teachers every fall during workshop week. We actually play a little game with them where we give them the acronyms and they have to figure out through our presentations if they can catch them all as we highlight them or talk about them. So she shared the list with the board. In finance, Sarah shares the audit team is still working through our final audit. I'm hopeful that they will have that wrapped up soon and expect it should be ready to present summary of findings at the November board meeting. She also shares that with health insurance, we are a self-funded health insurance program. Our quarterly reviews in September, our standard loss ratio, which tracks claims expenses to premium expenses, is tracking at 131%. That loss ratio is typically at about 85%, so the claim expenses are exceeding premiums being collected. Based off that negative position, we are projecting an increase in health insurance premiums of as much as 31% for next year. The updated plans and premiums go into effect after enrollment on January 1st, so some more information will be coming out about that, but we are in a negative spot with that right now, so we need to be working on that. And then she also shares that in the monthly financial report, you can see a majority of our investments are held by the Minnesota School District Liquid Asset Fund, MSDLAF, that does not roll off the tongue. Of this, we currently have $2.29 million invested in CD program. On September 16th, we had $387,000 in CDs mature. We did reinvest that full amount for another year. We did spread that, though, over 4 different CD maturity dates to make sure we have funds readily available if needed throughout the year. That should earn approximately $35,000 in interest across the life of those most recent invested CDs. So that's something she's been working on and making sure we're making the best use of that money. Finally, in Trisha's report for operations, Taher Food Service is inviting families to participate in a food service survey. That link will be shared with parents, students, and staff through several channels, including email, a QR code, social media, so watch for that. And they'll be seeking feedback on food service operations, menu options, and suggestions for potential new offerings. Last thing she shares is the Copy Center. We offer a wide variety of printing services to staff, coaches, and booster clubs. Annually, the center produces about 4 million copies.
Wow.
You heard me right. 4 million in our copy center every year. It's a lot of paper, yeah. 20 years ago, when Trisha started, I wasn't going to call out your age, but you put it in your report. The copy center's prices were 5 cents per black and white copy and 10 cents per color copy. Those rates have not changed in that 20 years, so we are adjusting the pricing just to match inflation of all the costs we have. Going forward, black and white copies will be 10 cents per copy, color copies will be 25 cents per copy, and cardstock prints will be 50 cents per copy. So that's a change that hasn't happened in 20 years, and it was time that we update. So she did check with other local printers on what they cost and such too to make sure we're in line. Mr. Chair, that's what I have.
Thank you, Jeremy. We'll move on to our discussion items. The first review of policies 801, 805, 807, and 809. Any questions on these?
Sure, these are pretty straightforward policy updates. The one we took off was 808 that had been in the original posted list. That was the face mask one that was back to COVID that just was not relevant anymore, so it should not have been on the list.
Next item is a second review of policies 513 and 606.5. Any discussion on these policies? We'll approve these next month.
These are the ones we talked about a little bit last time. The library materials, again, we worked with media specialists on how to review that and how that process is working. That was some changes in legislation, and there's some district pieces with the staffing we have and how we're using media specialists. And then with the early entrants and gifted talented, those are ones we also updated to better match the needs of the district.
Jeremy? Next item is an action item, approval of the site continuous plans for 24-25 for each of our buildings.
So move. Second.
And a motion by Bill and seconded by Jeff to approve the site improvement plans. Any discussion?
Sure, these are in alignment with the what's previously been called the world's best workforce. It's now the CACR, and I'm not going to get it straight, so I'm just going to call it the CACR tonight. It's the state plan for improvement. They also align with our strategic plan, so you'll see in there their 3-year kind of outlook at each site, what they're working on that aligns to our district-wide outlook for 3 years. And then their SCIP plans are what we're measuring for growth off of the QComp piece. Every site has a goal in literacy, a goal in math, and a goal in SEL that is driven by the data from last year and how they want to grow going forward with that. Some changes with Parkside specifically this year. We're not using the NWA test at Parkside. This is the first year we've changed that. The DIBELS, we talked about that a few weeks ago in a meeting, but we talked about how the DIBELS is just giving us more data that's more relevant to use in the classroom for driving instruction and intervention. So that's how we're measuring our Parkside skips. The other sites are still using NWAs. As kids get older, we want to make sure we're best understanding the data before we make changes in how we write the goal plans. But SEL is where you see the biggest difference in each building, just how they're measuring social emotional learning for each of the kids at those sites and how the kids grow. They put a lot of thought and a lot of work into these. Principals put a lot of work on it, and then if they all worked with their site improvement teams as well to get teacher input, and then all the staffs have seen them, and that's what they'll be working on to drive their personal goals this year as well. So
Those percentages on goals, are they go up every year, or do they go by the cohorts?
they go by the cohorts that cohort grows every year.
All right, we have a motion by Bill and a second by Jeff to approve the site improvement plans. Any further discussion? If not, I'll call for the vote. And they are approved. And I will adjourn the meeting. Thanks, everyone.